Every thunderstorm begins its life as a cumulonimbus cloud. For aviators, this specific cloud structure represents the highest concentration of meteorological hazards in the sky. Surviving these hazards requires understanding the thermodynamic triggers that ignite them, the stages of their life cycle, and the internal kinematic forces they generate. Before we break down those mechanics, make sure to subscribe to the Pilot Arnav channel for comprehensive coverage of the DGCA CPL and ATPL syllabus. It is important to establish that not all cumulonimbus clouds evolve into thunderstorms. A cumulonimbus requires 3 strict thermodynamic prerequisites to make that transition. This diagram shows the first prerequisite. The surrounding air mass must be unstable. In atmospheric physics, instability means that a volume of air is subject to forces that cause it to rise continuously without settling. Second, that rising pocket of air must contain a high concentration of water vapor to fuel the system. Third, there must be a localized lifting force, a trigger action, that initiates the initial upward push from beneath the air mass. If an air mass is unstable and saturated with moisture, it will still sit dormant without that lifting force. You need all 3 variables acting simultaneously to ignite a thunderstorm. Those localized lifting forces, the trigger actions, fall into 4 specific categories based on the environmental mechanics pushing the unstable air upward. The first trigger is convection. This animated diagram shows solar radiation heating a surface. As the ground warms, air directly above it rises in localized thermal columns. Because the surface heats unevenly, convective lifting produces isolated thunderstorms over land masses during summer afternoons. The second trigger is orographic lifting. In this cross-section, horizontal winds collide with a mechanical obstruction, like a mountain range, and deflect sharply upwards. Climatologically, the severe storms known as nor'westers are driven directly by this orographic lift. The third trigger is convergence. This surface map illustrates a low-pressure zone. Air currents are drawn inward along the ground, merge at the center, and are forced straight up into the atmosphere before diverging at altitude. The final trigger is frontal lifting. A dense cold air mass advances, wedging itself aggressively beneath a warm air mass, forcing the lighter air upward. The steep boundary line between these colliding masses forces massive vertical cloud development along the entire cold front. Because frontal lifting is driven by synoptic weather systems rather than localized surface heating, these thunderstorms typically form during winter. They arrange themselves sequentially in a contiguous, unbroken line known as a squall line. We categorize these genesis paths into 2 models: heat-type storms, which are isolated daytime convection events over land in the summer, and frontal-type storms, which form massive, hazardous squall lines over land or water during the winter. Regardless of the trigger action, every thunderstorm progresses through a precise chronological life cycle. The structure of the storm is entirely defined by shifting internal vertical air currents. This diagram tracks the initial cumulus stage. Multiple clouds merge to form a massive cumulonimbus base, measuring 5 nautical miles across. The kinematics are defined exclusively by strong updrafts, with air rising at violent speeds between 1,000 and 4,000 feet per minute. The cumulus stage lasts only 15 to 20 minutes, and because all moisture is being carried upward, it produces 0 precipitation at the surface. The mature stage officially begins the exact moment precipitation, water droplets and ice, starts falling to the ground. This falling mass physically drags air downward, creating severe downdrafts of 2,000 to 3,000 feet per minute, running alongside the existing updrafts. This kinematic conflict between extreme updrafts and downdrafts generates severe turbulence. For 20 to 30 minutes, this engine produces the highest concentration of aviation hazards. The storm transitions to the dissipating stage when the top of the cloud reaches the tropopause and flattens into a distinct anvil shape. The rising air hits a thermal boundary it cannot cross, forcing high-altitude winds to spread the moisture horizontally. Because the moisture supply is cut off, updrafts cease entirely. The system is now dominated exclusively by downdrafts, which wring out the remaining moisture over a period of 2 to 3 hours. The threat level of a thunderstorm is dictated entirely by its internal thermodynamic engine. It transitions from 100% upward velocity to a violent kinematic mix and finally resolved in 100% downward velocity. Navigating near this engine requires mapping the hazard matrix, A pilot's survivability depends directly on recognizing the phenomena generated during that violently active, mature stage. This cross-section shows the mechanics of lightning. Inside the cloud, rising and falling ice crystals collide constantly. These impacts separate electrical charges, pushing positive charges to the top of the anvil and concentrating negative charges at the base. This massive negative pool induces a positive charge on the Earth below it. When the attraction peaks, a massive flow of negative charge rushes to the ground. This produces the lightning flash, which can temporarily blind night vision and severely disrupt magnetic compasses. The lightning risk is highest in a very specific zone, within 5,000 feet of the freezing level, where ambient temperatures sit between -10 and +20 degrees Celsius. Next, we map the aerodynamics. Here we see cold air dumping out of the cumulonimbus center, hitting the ground and curling violently outward along the ground to create a dangerous gust front. The sheer scale of the gust front is immense. The turbulence can reach 6,000 feet above ground level and extend 15 nautical miles outward from the core of the cloud. This is where pilots encounter severe clear air turbulence. Deep inside that turbulence is the microburst. This is a catastrophic, localized downdraft. It delivers wind speeds up to 60 knots, pushes down to 300 feet above ground level, strikes an area under 4 kilometers wide, and exhausts itself in less than 5 minutes. Systems exceeding 4 kilometers and 5 minutes are classified as macrobursts. Both provide a visual warning sign called virga, streaks of precipitation that fall from the cloud but evaporate before ever hitting the ground. This diagram maps the aerodynamic trap of a microburst during a landing approach. Upon entering the microburst boundary, the aircraft first hits a severe headwind. This forces an unwanted increase in lift, ballooning the aircraft up and off the glide slope. The pilot corrects for the climb just as the aircraft crosses into the core. The headwind suddenly vanishes, and the airframe is crushed by the violent downward column, pushing the flight path rapidly toward the ground. Then comes the final lethal phase. The aircraft exits the core and is slammed by a massive tailwind. This drastically increases ground speed while destroying relative lift entirely, leaving the pilot with 0 altitude and almost 0 recovery time. Beyond kinematics, a secondary hazard is severe airframe icing, which accumulates rapidly at altitudes between 0 and -45 degrees Celsius due to massive volumes of supercooled water droplets trapped inside the updrafts. From intense electrical saturation at the freezing level to the aerodynamic destruction of a microburst, a mature cumulonimbus represents the most dangerous airspace on Earth. Tracking these immense and unpredictable meteorological hazards means understanding exactly how the mature thunderstorm physically navigates across the active airspace. This 3D model illustrates the steering mechanism. A standard thunderstorm cell's direction is dictated precisely by prevailing winds at the 10,000-foot level. However, for exceptionally massive systems, steering authority shifts higher, governed primarily by upper-level winds at 18,000 feet. A pilot cannot fight the kinematic energy of a mature cumulonimbus cloud. The aircraft will lose. Survival relies entirely on applying thermodynamic knowledge, maintaining spatial awareness of these wind levels, and executing strategic avoidance. To master the rest of the DGCA, CPL, and ATPL syllabus, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Pilot Arnav. Thanks for watching. There are weather systems you can navigate through, and then there is the cumulonimbus cloud. The internal forces inside one of these massive thunderstorms exceed the performance limitations of transport category aircraft. For aviators, it is the ultimate no-go zone. If you want to understand the physics of these clouds and master the aviation meteorology concepts needed for your DGCA, ATPL, and CPL exams, subscribe to the Pilot Arnav channel now. Meteorologically, we define a thunderstorm as a self-sustaining thermodynamic engine, where heat and moisture are converted into aggressive, organized vertical motion. To build this engine, 3 strict meteorological prerequisites must be met simultaneously. The first is atmospheric instability, an environment where a parcel of air intrinsically wants to rise. The second prerequisite is moisture. The air must contain a high enough concentration of water vapor to form a dense cloud structure as that air rises. Finally, the air requires a mechanical trigger. Unstable air often remains stagnant until a physical force provides the initial upward push to set the cycle in motion. Without the simultaneous presence of instability, moisture, and a trigger, the thermodynamic process required to build a cumulonimbus cannot begin. In meteorology, stability describes whether an isolated parcel of air will resist or assist vertical motion when it is displaced. This chart shows instability. A warm air parcel is less dense than ambient air, actively rising. In a stable atmosphere, a cooler, denser parcel sinks back to its equilibrium level. Neutrally, the parcel's temperature matches the ambient air exactly, so it remains perfectly stationary. Vertical cloud development, the defining structural feature of a thunderstorm, is dependent on catching this localized atmospheric instability to sustain upward growth. Once instability and moisture are present, the atmosphere requires trigger actions to provide the initial upward push. We categorize these into 4 specific mechanical forces. The first trigger is convection, solar radiation heating the Earth's surface, which in turn warms the adjacent air layer. This air becomes lighter and begins its ascent. The second trigger is orographic lifting. When horizontal wind encounters a physical obstruction like a mountain range, it is forced upward along the slope. Convergence occurs when air flows into surface low-pressure systems. As these wind currents collide in the center, the air is forced to move vertically. The fourth trigger is frontal lifting. In a cold front, a high-density wedge of cold air pushes forward, acting as a physical plow that violently forces a lighter, warmer air mass upward. Contrast this with a warm front, where warm air slides gently over a cold air mass. The shallow angle of ascent is why cold fronts are associated with much more severe and aggressive vertical development. Whether the lift comes from solar heating, terrain, or a frontal boundary, the result is the same: forced vertical motion that initiates the 3-stage life cycle of the cloud. The life cycle begins with the building stage. Here, multiple smaller cumulus clouds merge into a single massive core. At this point, the base of the developing cumulonimbus typically measures approximately 5 nautical miles, or 9 kilometers, across. The internal dynamics of this stage are characterized by pure upward motion. The system pulls in moisture through massive organized updrafts. For your DGCA exams, take note of these metrics. Updraft velocities range from 1,000 to 4,000 feet per minute, and this building phase lasts for 15 to 20 minutes. Because the upward forces are so aggressive, water droplets are held in suspension. No rain or precipitation is able to fall during this initial stage. The mature stage begins the exact moment precipitation starts to fall from the cloud base, indicating that the weight of the water has overcome the updrafts. Falling water shifts the internal physics of the system. As the rain plummets, it physically drags the surrounding air down with it, initiating a severe downdraft. The cloud now contains a dual environment. Within the same structure, you have massive rising updrafts and violent downdrafts operating in close proximity. In the mature stage, updrafts reduce to roughly 1,000 feet per minute, while downdrafts establish themselves at 2,000 to 3,000 feet per minute. This phase lasts between 20 and 30 minutes. The intense shearing between these adjacent rising and falling air columns creates the violent turbulence that makes this the most hazardous phase of the storm. As the cloud grows, it eventually hits the tropopause. Because the stratosphere above it does not support vertical growth, the tropopause acts as a physical ceiling. Capped by this ceiling, the top of the cloud spreads horizontally. This creates the anvil shape that is the visual signature of a mature thunderstorm. The formation of this anvil indicates that the storm has transitioned into the dissipating stage. The system is now starved of warm rising air. Updrafts cease, and the cloud is dominated by downdrafts. This final stage is the longest, lasting from 2 to 3 hours. The engine has effectively run out of fuel. The storm continues to dump its remaining moisture and downward kinetic energy until the cloud structure completely collapses. The friction between the internal updrafts and downdrafts generates intense electrical hazards, beginning with lightning. As ice crystals collide within the turbulent drafts, they strip away electrons, creating a massive separation of electrical charges within the cloud structure. Lighter, positively charged particles accumulate at the cloud's top, while negative particles pool at the base. The Earth's surface carries a positive charge, attracting the negative pool above. When this potential overcomes air resistance, a lightning strike occurs. For exam purposes, remember that lightning is most probable within 5,000 feet of the freezing level, where temperatures range from 0 degrees Celsius to -10 degrees Celsius and up to +20 degrees Celsius. For pilots, a strike can cause severe instrument degradation. The intensity of the flash also temporarily blinds the flight crew, destroying their night vision during critical maneuvers. The most lethal aerodynamic threat produced by the mature stage's downdrafts is the microburst. A microburst is an extreme, localized column of descending air. When it hits the surface, it curls outward in all directions, creating a dangerous outflow boundary. The DGCA metrics are strict: 60-knot winds, reaching 300 feet AGL, lasting under 5 minutes, covering an area less than 4 kilometers wide. Upon entry, the plane hits a massive headwind and balloons above the glide slope. Reducing power to correct, it enters the central column, pushed violently downward. In the exit sequence, a severe tailwind destroys all remaining lift, driving the aircraft into the runway. A macroburst operates on these same mechanics, but is larger than 4 kilometers in width and lasts longer than 5 minutes. Additional hazards include virga, precipitation that evaporates before reaching the surface, and icing, which can occur anywhere inside the cloud to compromise airframe aerodynamics. The cumulonimbus represents a structured thermodynamic engine that creates localized zones of lethal aerodynamic failure, explaining why it remains an absolute no-go for all aviators. To master these aviation meteorology concepts and prepare for your DGCA exams, subscribe to the Pilot Arnav channel.